2025 is already worse than we thought. You need to prepare now. Inflation is rising, global conflicts are intensifying, and supply chains are breaking down. If you haven't already, then you need to start prepping. We're only a short time into 2025, and the warning signs are everywhere. People thought that things would stabilize by now, but instead we're seeing a perfect storm of economic collapse, rising crime, war, and shortages, far worse than most expected. If you're watching this, you already have a sense that something isn't right. Maybe you notice your grocery bill creeping higher each month. Maybe you're paying more at the gas pump. Maybe you've seen headlines about riots, political instability, and countries inching closer to all-out war. The truth is that 2025 is going to test us all, but the question is, will you be ready? Right now, there are three major crises that are unfolding simultaneously, and they will affect everyone. First, let's talk about inflation and economic collapse. The cost of living is skyrocketing and wages aren't keeping up. Groceries, fuel, rent, everything is getting more expensive. And it's not just happening by accident. When governments print massive amounts of money and flood the economy with debt, prices rise. That's simple economics. But here's what they're not telling you. It's only going to get worse. More people are defaulting on loans, businesses are struggling, and layoffs are increasing. When people can't afford necessities, they start making desperate decisions. Crime goes up, riots break out, and society begins to crumble. Most people don't realize this yet, but we're already in a slow-motion economic collapse. And to me, it looks like the ones in power are toying with us and trying to cause a Great Depression using tariffs and other methods. Let me know what you guys think about that whole situation. War and global conflicts are escalating. Let's take a look at the world right now. The Middle East is on fire and tensions are at an all-time high right now. Russia and NATO are edging closer to direct confrontation. The Chernobyl nuclear power plant was just struck. That's a disaster waiting to happen. China is preparing for a war with Taiwan, which could drag the entire world into the conflict. You know, their president is getting old. He's 71. He wants to do it in his lifetime. The way I see it is that he would want to do it as soon as possible. But he would want to do it when the US military is distracted by something major. They could do something themselves. They could use Russia, North Korea, Iran. It could be anything. And if that invasion happens, the global economy will be devastated. Trade routes will be shut down. Energy prices will spike and food shortages will hit every country. If you think these wars won't affect you because they're happening overseas, you need to think again. The reality is the world is more unstable now than at any time in modern history. The dominoes are falling. Supply chain failures and shortages. Have you noticed that items that used to be easy to find are now missing from the shelves or twice the price? That's because supply chains are breaking down and many other issues. Farmers are struggling due to high costs, droughts, and especially regulations. I don't want to go into too much detail, but something is deliberately being done with the farms and they're being forced to sell. Truckers and logistics companies are being squeezed by fuel costs and labor shortages. Factories overseas are shutting down due to economic instability and war. And keep in mind, this isn't fear-mongering, this is reality. You just have to do proper research. We have to diversify our news and media sources and not just look at what they're telling us on the TV. And let me be clear, once supply chains break down, they don't recover overnight. That's why you need to start preparing now. So what happens next and how could 2025 get even worse? Most people aren't ready for what's coming. They assume things will just magically fix themselves. Here's what I think we're likely to see in the next few months and throughout the year. Mass layoffs and financial collapse. More people losing jobs, homes, and access to basic necessities. Civil unrest and violent crime spikes. More thefts, riots, and home invasions. Government overreach and new restrictions. More surveillance, crackdowns, and economic controls. Severe energy shortages. We could have power grid failures, gas rationing, and rolling blackouts. More food shortages. Empty shelves, higher prices, and panic buying. I think if you're not prepared, you're going to suffer. But the good news is that you can still take action now. How to prepare for the rest of 2025. Do this before it's too late. Stockpile essentials before prices skyrocket. You don't need to buy everything at once, but you should start stacking supplies now. Get food with a long shelf life. Rice, beans, canned meat, dried fruits, and grains. Medical supplies, painkillers, antibiotics, wound care, and basic first aid. Water storage, at least 1 gallon per person per day for emergencies. The absolute minimum is 14 gallons of water per person, but my recommendation is that you eventually try and build up to about 180 gallons. Hygiene, soap, toothpaste, and sanitation supplies. Get bleach, garbage bags, paper towels, and disposable gloves. Also get disposable cups, plates, and spoons, so in case an emergency happens and your water shuts off, you don't have to use your drinking water to wash dishes. You can just throw away the disposable stuff. Again, if you wait until a crisis hits, it's already going to be too late. Secure your home and defend what's yours. Crime is increasing and desperate people do desperate things. You need to reinforce your doors and windows. Get motion sensor lights and security cameras. Get self-defense tools, whatever is legal in your area. It could be bear spray, it could be a sword, a baseball bat, a machete, whatever. Make sure your family has a plan for home invasions. So for you yourself, you need to make sure that you know where your weapon is and that it's always ready. And the rest of your family needs to know where they're going to go and what they're going to grab. If they have a designated room that they're going to go and barricade themselves, you need to tell them that in advance. You need to have cash and alternative currencies. Banks can freeze accounts, ATMs can shut down, and card systems can fail. Keep physical cash for emergencies, at least $250 in 20s, 10s, and 5s. This will let you buy some last-minute emergency supplies if you get the chance. Store silver or gold as a hedge against inflation. Store barter items like medical supplies, hygiene products, coffee, and canned food. Backup power and fuel reserves. If blackouts happen, if the power grid fails, what's your plan? Get a solar generator or some sort of backup power supply. You may need to save up for that, but it's well worth the investment. Store gasoline with fuel stabilizers, as long as your local laws allow it. Stockpile propane cylinders for your propane heaters and stoves. Have alternative cooking methods like a sterno, propane, or butane stove. Learn survival skills and self-sufficiency. Supplies won't last forever. If things truly collapse, you'll need skills. How to purify water, how to start a fire without matches, how to treat a wound without a doctor, how to grow food, how to hunt, how to fish. Remember guys, the time to prepare is now. We're already seeing the signs. The year is not going to get better. While most people are ignoring reality, you have a choice. Throughout history, the majority have always ignored signs and very few have actually prepared. People like you who pay attention are usually the ones who prepare. If you've made it this far into the video, you're one of those people who are smart and can see what's going on in the world. You can probably see that things are not normal right now and people are ignoring the signs. There are many people who ignore the signs and try to pretend like everything's okay. That's because they think prepping is too difficult or they find it scary to think about a possible emergency happening. I think most people are just way too scared and way too soft. You should see the type of stuff that people comment on prepping videos. I could simply make a video telling people what's going to go out of stock if an emergency is announced on the news. What are people going to panic buy? I get all kinds of comments telling me that I'm fear-mongering and I'm scaring people. Keep in mind, in those videos, I'm not even saying a crisis is going to happen for sure. I'm saying if something happens, this is what's going to be sold out. The person telling me that I'm scaring people is probably the one getting scared the most. Most people are so weak and so soft that if a societal collapse happens, you guys are going to dominate them and survive much longer than them. By you guys, I mean the preppers. If you're watching my videos, you're probably into prepping and a lot more mentally tougher than the average person. You can either hope everything works out or prepare for what's coming. Now you already know what to do, but let's do a quick recap. Start stocking up, secure your finances, protect your home, and learn basic survival skills. Because when the next crisis hits, the people who prepared will survive. The ones who didn't, won't. What's your biggest concern for 2025? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this useful, hit subscribe. I'll keep you updated on everything you need to know.